Very shy and very off. So let's get started. I want, before moving on with the slide, just state that in this talk I'm going to present some new interesting concepts. I will not get too much into the details themselves. So try to go along with me, and I promise this is some interesting problem that was bugging me for a long time. So we all know, we are all very well knowledge with MPC. We know we can do, say, 2PC or MPC with even the very basic results of YAG and GW and others. The parties hold just secret inputs and the function of these inputs. But the problem is that these early days protocols are associated or come with a very large price tag. Right? You have to somehow do a lot of communication and a lot of computation. This eventually translates into a very large price tag. So already in like 91 or so, we were thinking of the very good idea of splitting the protocol into an offline computation of the expensive phase and an online likely phase where the online phase of parties jointly work to generate some correlations or even give some help from an external leader that gives them these correlations. And at the end of the offline phase, the parties just store these correlations. In the online phase, the parties use these correlations with their private inputs to compute a very lightweight and possibly an information theory protocol. But there's a problem. From a practical perspective, right? I mean, TPMPC is the theory and practice of MPC. We somehow have to split the timeline between the offline phase and the online phase, and I don't really know how to do this. I don't know if you want to do that, but I don't. And sometimes it may be very trivial to do this, but sometimes this is a not so trivial task. And let me give you an example. Think of two parties that along the timeline interact from time to time. They continuously compute functions of private data, maybe even different functions from time to time, and so on and so forth. And under this complex setting, you can think of it as continuous to infinity. When should the offline phase take place? One option would be for the dealer to show up, give to the party some correlation, a small amount of it, and this should suffice for a limited period of time. Then again, show up again, and provide more correlated randomness, and so on and so forth, until eternity. And there's some problem with this approach, and it's that we continuously depend on the existence presence of the dealer. Another approach would be for the dealer to show up just once and give the parties extremely large correlations. If I had a larger scale, this is even a larger picture. And somehow the parties have to store these correlations, but it suffices for the whole life. The problem is that storing these correlations can cost a lot of money, and just to give you an example, if the parties want to compute a single AES encryption every second for, say, 100 years, using the same speeds, then the size of the correlations, if I measure it correctly, is somewhere around a few terabytes of data. This is a lot. So, ideally, what we want is what we call, and this is the new concept that we will be talking about this whole talk. This is what we call preprocessing for life. It's an ideal setting where both the dealer shows up just once and provides very tiny correlations, but these correlations should suffice for the whole lifetime of the parties, basically throughout eternity. Now, why am I wasting your time and making you listen to this talk? Because this problem is, at least in the semi-honest case, this is a solved problem. Right? The dealer can just show up and provide the parties correlated randomness in the form of TCGC, pseudo-random correlation generators. These are very small seeds, also in practice, that allow the parties to extend these seeds into basically practically infinite amount of correlated randomness on very small silent correlations. And use the exact same online protocol that was very efficient and lightweight to accomplish the desired task in the license. Right, but this is the semi-honest case. In the malicious case, there might be one of the parties acting maliciously, or even the leader acting maliciously. It's an multiple accommodations. And we don't really know how to deal with these settings, at least with existing tools, and at least to my existing knowledge. So our goal would be to achieve this pre-processing for life, but with malicious security. And we also want to incur negligible communication over the interface just to retain this lightweight nature of the protocol. And somehow treat the case of a malicious dealer and also consider the multi-party setting. Now, some of the existing tools that we have for this thing, we have speeds, but again, just like what I said earlier, the correlation of speeds are prohibited without, especially for your own lifetime. We take this time putting aside the fact that it only can be used for Boolean circuits, we also have to somehow convert these compressible ODs into authenticated ODs, but again, we might use this negligible communication over the thing. And we also have very good ECGs today that do very sophisticated things like authenticated triples that can use data for speed like particles. But we have them for limited settings. So in the arithmetic setting, we have them for the multi-party setting, but they are not the practical or significantly slower than using just semi-honest correlations. And in the Boolean setting, we don't even have constructions for authenticated triples, even in the two-party setting. So we can understand this is at least an interesting problem. Now, a first candidate for solving this puzzle will be using the construction of Boyle and Hard, BGN21. This is a protocol with a trusted dealer. It is working in the pre-processing model. So the dealer shows up once and provides some correlations. And these correlations are already very, very small. They're like in the size of the online computation. But again, the online computation, the parts swap will have inputs and carry a very lightweight protocol where the additive overhead of this BGN21 compiler is only logarithmic in the size of computation, on top of the semi-honest protocol. But the semi-honest protocol, you can think of it as just a standard Beaver triple protocol that you should be familiar if you're sitting here right now. In terms of security, the BGN21 protocol gives us a selective mode against any malicious subset parties in the Dishonest-Majority setting. So, what's missing in BGN21 that prevents it from providing us this pre-processing for life that we want so much? So first, the correlations that the dealer provide, this is like one of the fine details of BGN21, it's actually circuit dependent. So if you use this for pre-processing for life, you somehow have to commit ahead of time what exactly is this computation that we are going to carry like 20 years from now. And as far as you already know, 20 years from now, nobody knew that we will all be doing AI and ML and ChatGPT, then we might not know what we will be doing in the next 20 years. I don't know, like mining Bitcoin or something. Anyway, so this is one property, and on top of it, there is some privacy leak in the sense that the dealer has got parties want to compute in the online. This is another drawback of using circuit-dependent correlations. Another thing is that the dealer is trusted in BGN21. We have no way, or at least no means are provided, to ensure that the correlations the dealer provides are actually well-formed. And this is a problem, because if they are not well-formed, then the parties might receive the wrong output of the computation, and this might go unnoticed. The parties just get wrong output. And last but very not least, BGN21 is, so to speak, efficient protocol, but this is only efficient in an asymptotic sense. It has not been implemented, not been optimized. We do not know how it is compared against state-of-the-art protocols like this. Okay, with that being said, what is our result? So we have the dealer-aided Dishonest-Majority MPC with sublinear communication overhead, and basically we we solve all these bad properties that we achieve. And first, we provide a lifetime supply correlation, which is the main property that we need for preprocessing life. And on top of it, we provide certain independent correlations. We provide means to protect against an untrusted data in the case of malicious data. And we also implemented and compared our protocol against state-of-the-art protocols like speed. As a bonus feature, we achieved that the fact that works on very lightweight techniques, and this whole nice thing can be extended to arbitrary fields and Boolean rings. So the plan for the rest of this talk is to spend a little bit on how do we achieve how do we protect against untrusted data, and a few words about the complete efficiency of this protocol. Right. So the first building block that we will need towards our construction is sublinear distributed zero-knowledge proofs, or this DZKP for short. So what is a DZKP? You can think of it as a dealer, as a prover, holding some statement, and this statement is shared across multiple parties. Say ADV. You can think of it as maybe a party share of some authenticated people data, and since you are given a share of an authenticated people data, you won't think whether this share is indeed well formed, whether it satisfies the necessary correlation that we need from an authenticated people. Right? So how do these protocols usually work? In a very high level, the dealer and the prover, the prover, which eventually will be the dealer. So the prover typically takes some proof and it shares this proof across the multiple verifiers. Then the verifiers interact and send some challenge to the prover, who then moves on to the next round of the protocol, so on and so forth until the protocol terminates. And theorem by Gonet alpha Preprocessing is that if the statement is robustly shown across the parties, and if you want to verify that this statement satisfies some degree to correlation, for example, this authenticated leadership, then we have a distributed zero-knowledge proof protocol with logarithmic amount of communication and logarithmically many rounds. And this is built on top of a very interesting information theoretic object called fully linear interactive oracle proofs, or FLIPs for short. All right. So this very interesting object, these can allow us to build dishonest-majority MPC. And let's see how it goes. Again, this is a combination of our results and the original construction of VJ41. But in a sense, VJ41 is a compiler in the sense that it takes a protocol and it produces a maliciously secure protocol with a trusted user. This is what we are trying to eliminate. So how the protocol goes, the parties first run the semiconductor protocol up until the very last step, except for opening the outputs. Now the parties, the byproduct of the semiconductor protocol, they learn the while values. And each party of itself proves that it behaved honestly throughout the semiconductor protocol. And this is done using distributed zero-knowledge proofs, where the dealer is one of the verifiers. And this is a very crucial point that we will shortly get into. And if all the proofs pass and all parties are found to be acting honestly, then we just open the output and terminate the protocol successfully. So, like we just said, whenever some party, say one, wants to prove that it behaved honestly throughout the semiconductor protocol, it proves using distributed zero-knowledge proofs to the other party, say two, and the dealer that it was following the rules. And this is done using DZKPs, and like we just said, DZKPs in each round, the prover shares some proof, then the parties interact, compute some challenge. But what the dealer does at this point, and this is what happens in DZKPs as well, is that the dealer computes from this round challenge some query vector, we call it QSL, and it computes the inner product of this query vector with its share of the segment and its share of the round proof. And it sends this result in the products to the other party, the other verifier. And then they send this round challenge to the prover we want and move on to the next round of the protocol and so on and so forth. But anyway, I'm talking a lot, but you might be asking yourself, what the hell is the dealer doing in the online phase? And if just it's the dealer, it should be presented on the offline phase. This is after the settlement protocol already terminated. So what's going on. And you're totally correct. So what we will be seeing now is how we move. This is also a result of BJ21 to some extent, with some optimization that we did in our work. And how we can actually allow the builder to pre-compute its own part in the program. So how it goes, the first thing we notice is that the share of the proof that it receives from the prover is settled randomly. So instead of having P1 settle the shell, we allow the prover to settle the shell and set it to P1. Likewise, the prover can sample the run proof and tell the other verified P2 what the run proof is. Now, since the prover, the dealer already knows both its share of the proof and ground challenge, he can compute this variable P1 and computes the result of the inner product A or B, and also send this value to the other verifier P2. Right. So we all call these triple of values and FLIP correlation. And these correlations are used in the online phase, right, to accomplish the whole distributed zero-knowledge proof protocol without the dealer actually interacting with the parties in the online phase. So this pre-computation of these correlations allows the dealer to just step away after the offline phase terminates. So BGF21 actually uses these FLIP correlations, which are very small, just the size, logarithmic the size of the computation. And these correlations, the correlations the dealer actually sends are made of two parts. The first part is just beaver triples used for the semi protocol, and these FLIP correlations that allow us to enforce honest behavior on the parties. These are the correlations we just mentioned. And since we said that we want to ensure that the dealer is honest, we have to actually verify it in some way that these correlations are well formed. The dealer did not cheat and send something that is not formed. Right. So the first part, we have to verify that the beaver triples are well formed. How do we do that? Well, it's very simple, and I will not go too much into it, because a beaver triple to verify that it is well formed, we just have to verify a unique relation, right? The boundaries want to make sure that C minus A and B equals 0. We mentioned earlier that restricted zero-knowledge proof allows us to verify exactly such relations between any feature of data. So this idea can just apply on beaver triples right out of the box without any further explanation. We move to the more challenging part. We want to verify that the FLIP correlations are indeed well formed. So I remind you that the FLIP correlations are made of a share of the proof, the round the challenge, and the inner product of some values. So now the dealer, this is standing where the prover should stand, right? He wants to prove that he generated these values correctly. And both parties want to verify that their share of the statement, what they receive as the FLIP correlations, are actually satisfying the necessary correlation. So I remind you, P2 has the ground challenge and the result of the product, and P1 holds the share of the statement of your dealer and the share of the proof that was given to be also by the dealer. So this is what the correlation we want to verify. We want to verify that the inner product actually equals A sub B, what P2 just received as part of the correlation. So the first thing we notice is that the query vector is entirely party P2. And we notice that on the other right side of the right-hand side of the inner product, both the share of the statement of the dealer and the share of the proof of the dealer are known to party P1. So in fact, we observe that the statement they want to verify is just a degree 2 statement in the value that they are sharing. This means that we can apply directly distributed zero-knowledge proofs also on this part. And this basically allows us to verify the FLIP correlations, but we have a few challenges that I will not get into here. First, we want to prove and verify such statements in linear time. As you can see, this proof and verification takes place for each round of the FLIP, and we have logarithmically many rounds of FLIPs, at least in the distributed zero-knowledge protocol I was referring to. So this was one challenge that we saw in the paper. Another challenge we faced is extending this setting to more than just parties. I will not get into that either. Right. And with that being said, I want to move to the complete efficiency for our protocol. I took the time, it was absurd amount of time, and I implemented this whole thing, both the online phase and the offline phase of the protocol. And I'd like to show you how does our protocol behave compared to state of the art. Okay, so starting with the online phase, our goal is to minimize latency. And as a benchmark, I used two-party computation over 1,024 Boolean AES circuits. It sounds reasonably large at that circuit. And I compared our implementation compared to speeds. And yeah, you can see that we are performing pretty good. I mean, we are only 60% slower than speed. It's not that bad. In the local area setting, and in the wide area setting, we are like 23% worse compared to speeds. So why am I telling you this if we are worse than speed? This is not surprising. In the online phase, we follow the semi-honest, we have to run all these distributed zero-knowledge proofs. This is much heavier than one speed, those in the online phase. But in terms of communication, we are just as bad as speed, meaning that we do not improve significant overhead on top of the semi-honest protocol. And as part of the implementation, I have implemented serious amount of theoretical implementation level optimization, and we have to share them with you offline. But what's the greatest achievement of our protocol is that it actually allows us to achieve this preprocessing for life approach, and let me tell you why this is very interesting. In the offline phase, our goal is actually to maximize the throughput of the protocol, meaning we want to generate correlations for as many gates per second as possible. And we also want to consider scalability in the sense of how does this throughput behave as a function of the number of cores that the leader and the parties are providing. So just to give you some sense of the size of the correlations for, say, 10 billion Boolean gates, the FLIP correlation is the FLIP-based correlation with the semi-honest setting, with the semi-honest correlations and so on. In our protocol is less than 100 kilobytes, while for speeds, the authenticated triples, which are incompressible for all the settings that we need, are like 240 gigabytes if I get the calculations right. This is like 6 orders of magnitude difference. And speeds have a very big problem, and it's funny, in the sense that it needs to send these very large correlations over the network. It really needs to send them somehow to the parties, right? So we did some analysis using our implementation, and you can see that as a function of number of cores, how many correlations, how many gates per second can the parties pre-process in each networking setting. And you can see that speeds, as part of incompressible correlations, it saturates the network with just a single core of the video in the wide area setting. And in the local area network, the video saturates the network with, say, 4 cores. However, in the wide area network setting, our implementation scales to, say, 2,100 cores or so. In the local area network, it's even more than that. And what I want to say is that you can think of the data as like a large factory that generates billions of correlations per second, hopefully. So renting, say, 2,100 cores wide network is a very simple task today with cloud providers everywhere. Yeah, with that being said, I want to summarize. I kind of introduced to you the concept or the notion of preprocessing for life. It's a very interesting feature that preprocessing, MPC with preprocessing possess. And the FLIP-based MPC is indeed practical in the sense that it is not too far behind in the online phase compared to state-of-the-art speeds and so on. But it allows for preprocessing for life that is a very useful feature. I have a few open questions, maybe briefly. One thing we want to achieve is some way to de-randomize the delay in the sense that we want to convert the valid correlations to actually random correlations. I think this is the most interesting one, so the other ones I'll just skip. And with that being said, I want to thank you for listening, and I'll be happy to take any questions.